Welcome back to the webinar on Global TVET and STEM Development in Malaysia, brought to you by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Malaysia. We hope that you have taken a good lunch break and we will resume shortly. Next, we will be having a forum with invited panelists and speakers who are experts in their respective areas. As the youth start to question their future and the skills they need to acquire, let us spend our next hour listening to a fruitful forum deliberated on the diversity of Malaysian youth skills development towards industry-driven.
The forum welcomes three of our special guest panelists, and they are Mr. Mohamad Zaidi Sharif, Head of Special Projects, CEO, Office of Malaysian Rail Link, MRL, Professor Technologist Shamsul Kamar Abu Samah, Head of National Aerospace Industry Coordinating Agency, NAICO, and Dr. Aliff Radzuan Mohamad Radzi, Senior Lecturer of University Kuala Lumpur, UniKL. The forum will be moderated by Mr. Hazmil Hapaz, Senior Assistant Director of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Malaysia. Please, over to you, Mr. Hazmil.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Hazmil bin Hapaz. Welcome all to our webinar on Global TVET and STEM Empowerment in Malaysia, GTSEM. We are honored and lucky to have our panelists from a diverse field to join us today. Before we begin, allow me to introduce to all the panelists that will be sharing their ideas and experience throughout this webinar. Let us welcome our first panelist. He had more than 5-year experience in petroleum industry. His current position is the Head of Strategy at Malaysia Rail Link Sdn Bhd. Please welcome Mr. Zaidi Sharif. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Zaidi.
Do I need to introduce myself, ke?
Okay, would you mind to briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background in the industry? Okay. Over to you, Mr. Zaidi.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you, Ministry Youth and Sports, for having me today to speak in this forum. My name is Zaidi. I'm currently the Head of Strategy for Malaysia Rail Link Sdn Bhd. MRL is a company that is appointed by the government of Malaysia to act as the project owner and asset owner for the East Coast Rail Link project. So ECRL project is the railway, the new railway that is currently under construction. And this railway is going to be constructed from Kota Baru, covering the East Coast states of Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, and then it goes down to Port Klang in Selangor. So in terms of my previous experience, yes, I do have some experience in various industries. I've been working for Petronas for about 5 years in Petronas, and then I've also have some experience working for Felda Global Ventures, and currently I am working for MRL. So I think in terms of industry-wise, I do have a bit of exposure in the oil and gas industry, palm oil plantation, and right now specifically construction, but in the future MRL is going to look into more towards the logistics industry. Yeah, back to you.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Zaidi. Our second panelist, he is currently the Head of National Aerospace Industry Coordinating Office, NAICO, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI. He has a vast knowledge and skills in engineering management, industrial policies, strategic planning, industries collaboration program, project management and business development. Please welcome Professor Technologist Shamsul Kamar bin Abu Samah. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Mr. Hazil.
Okay, would you like to share a few words?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hazmil, our moderator for today's session. I'm Shamsul Kamar Abu Samah, currently the head of National Aerospace Industry Coordinating Office, or better known as NAICO, a unit under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI. We being established back in 2015 as one of the key recommendations of the Malaysian Aerospace Industry Blueprint 2030. And we are the main industry facilitator for the development of aerospace industry in Malaysia. I joined NAICO since April 2016, and prior to that, I was the CEO of Aerospace Malaysia Innovation Center, the head of Aerospace and Advanced Material at Malaysia Industry Government Group for High Technology, MICET, Senior Project Engineer at Sapura Defence, and Radar Maintenance Engineer at Aerod Alinea Technologies Neighborhood. So altogether, it's more than 20 years of industrial experience. I have also an opportunities to involve in various high technology sectors apart from aerospace and defense, namely advanced material, shipbuilding and ship repair, and rail industry. Part of my responsibility in as is being mentioned by the moderator just now, I also involved in policy formulations and implementation, ecosystem development, human capital development, international partnership and collaboration, and not to forget my forte, research and technology. I'm a professional technologist endorsed by MBOD, and currently I'm the chairman of Aerospace and Aviation Working Group of the Technological Association Malaysia. Apart from my official duty and also professional activities, I was appointed as the honorary professor by the University of Nottingham, Malaysia in August 2016, and recently by UTHM as adjunct professor back in November 2020. I graduated from UTM in 1995 with a diploma in electrical engineering, and later University of Portsmouth with an engineering degree in electronics and electrical back in 1998. Back to you, Mr. Hazmil.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And lastly, he is a senior lecturer from University Kuala Lumpur, Malaysian Institute of Chemical and Bioengineering Technology, MICET. He is associated member of Institute of Chemical Engineers and has 2 research grants for 2020 and 2021. Please welcome Dr. Aliff Radzuan bin Mohamad Radzi. Assalamualaikum, Doctor.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, same as Mr. Zaidi and Prof. Shamsul. Do you share your experience and a little bit of your background?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Moderator for today, Mr. Hazmil Hapaz, our fellow panelists today, Prof. T.S. Shamsul Kamar bersama, and Mr. Zaidi Sharif. Firstly, I would like to thank Kementerian Belia dan Sukan for inviting me to share a little bit of my overview on the youth skills development. I believe that the topic we are going to discuss today is highly relevant due to the most university, in particular University Kuala Lumpur. We are no longer actually just looking to cultivate inquisitive minds, but also to foster diverse skills. Before that, let me humbly introduce myself. My name is Aliff Radzuan bin Mohamad Radzi, as mentioned by the moderator. Currently, I'm a senior lecturer at University Kuala Lumpur, branch campus, Malaysian Institute of Chemical and Bioengineering Technology, or known as UniKL MICET. For everyone information, we are the largest chemical bioengineering technology institute in Malaysia, and we are located at Alor Gajah, Melaka since 2002. Please do visit us if you have a chance to visit Melaka after the pandemic, inshallah. So my hope in this session is to motivate as many as possible young talents to identify TVET and STEM as their interest, so that all of us can support the long-term growth of the Malaysian economy as well as increase the employability rate. Thank you, Mr. Hazmil.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. All right. Before we start, let me share a little bit of information about ILKBS. They are 22 youth skills training institutions under the coordination of Ministry of Youth and Sports, offering various technology programs, including automotive, mechanical, electrical, electronic, hospitality, and textile. We are managing 10,000 students for each enrollment. Our students are certified by Department Skills of Development with Malaysian Skills Certificate. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, the diversity of Malaysian youth skills development for industry driven. Alright, we start with Mr. Zaidi. From your point of view, why do we need to create the awareness of skill competencies for all the youths globally? Alright, Mr. Zaidi?
Sorry.
Alright,
I didn't unmute. This is a common problem today. Okay, thank you, Hazmil, moderator. So, okay, when we talk about skill competencies and then we talk about the youth, and then what is the industry have to do from the perspective of the industry to create this awareness among the youth. So I think first of all we have to understand that Malaysia is a country that is driven, its economy is driven largely on trade. So forever and ever, I think this country, since before and for foreseeable future, we are going to be dependent much on manufacturing. And in order for us to be at the forefront of this manufacturing race between our country and other countries globally, we need to be able to have a very competent workforce to be supplied to the industry. So I think across the three companies that I have actually worked for Petronas, or FGV and MRL, I think across the industry, in oil and gas, in plantation, and also in construction, we are facing a lot of issues in terms of getting local Malaysians, especially the youth, to join at the lower level of the requirement for the workforce. We do have good intake in terms of lower and higher level for Petronas in the oil and gas industry, and that is to me is a different case altogether, because oil and gas, for one, they are paying the salary scale and how much they pay the workers is a bit different from plantation and construction industry. So you can see that the positions for those technicians and so lower level, those people that work on the platform, oil platform or oil rigs, we can see that local Malaysians are willing to do the jobs that is what we consider 3D lah, dirty, dangerous and maybe difficult. But when we go into plantation industry and we go into construction industry, then we can see a totally different scenario where the locals, I think they are not really interested, or there is not enough incentive, I think, for our local youth to actually join plantation or construction industry, to be at the lower level of the workforce. Although, for example, for the ECRL project that we are doing right now, so ECRL project is one huge mega project that is ongoing. Right now the cost is about 44 billion ringgit, and we are covering distance about 640 kilometers from Kelantan to Terengganu, and then down to Pahang, and then crossing towards Selangor. So along the 640 kilometers, we have more than, I think, 20 project sites, and then you can see that there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of demand for workers, and I can share with everybody today that for ECRL itself, during the peak construction period, we are looking at about 27,000 workers to be required to actually carry out the construction work. Out of that 27,000 workers, I can easily see 80% or more actually the laborers or the lower level workers that is actually needed to be supplied for the construction work. And mostly we can see that most of these positions will go to foreigners, since it is not so easy for the project to actually gather or actually recruit locals to fill all these vacant positions. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is I think the need to create awareness among the youth today is to really make them understand that there is a huge opportunity in terms of the career in construction, in plantation, that is available to them. However, I think other stakeholders are needed to actually fill in the gap between the expectation of our youth today in terms of salary and incentive, to incentivize them to actually join these 3D jobs and make it something that is valuable and can actually contribute back to the Malaysian economy. So I think I leave it there first. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaidi. So, Prof, any ideas on this matter?
Most of the countries have moved from agricultural-based economy towards industry-based economy. So in the case of Malaysia, the main two industries are basically coming from the manufacturing sectors as well as services sector. So in fact, the requirement for skill-based employees, it varies between 60 to up to 85% of technical workforce. So in the case of aerospace industry, based on the research that we have conducted back in 2019, it shows that our industry is required about 85% of skill-based workforce. So that is why it's very critical for us to promote. Yeah, this is only one example. I'm sure it is quite similar to automotive industry, oil and gas, E&E, of which there are about 60% to 80% technical workforce are coming from the skill-based or TVET. Nevertheless, the requirement to have different level of skills getting higher and higher. The pandemic COVID-19 has shown to us that the importance of utilizing advanced technology in our industry development, industry implementation and operations, which mean that we need to have the peoples or employees or skilled workforce that can understand better how that we can integrate system, how that we can program our processes, as well as in producing smart products and so on. So the landscape are basically different now. Based on the COVID-19 issues, the main concern of which when we deploy the MCO is that we don't want the people to move around. So this is somehow or other affect the operationalization of our industries, particularly the manufacturing sector. So if, let's say, at this point of time, we have implemented or adopted the Industry 4.0 technologies, We introduce more robots, automated systems in our factories, and so on. So we can leverage on the system backed by the skilled workforce. And in fact, the skilled workforce will require a different set of understanding, which means that we need our skilled workforce not only to have hands-on experience, but also to understand how to program, how to analyze data, how to collect information, and how to improve the activities without having to go to the site. So that is one of the reasons why is required for us to promote the requirements as well as the needs for us, particularly in Malaysia, to have different set of skills workforce in the long run. Due to the fact that a large number of skilled workforce are coming from other countries, foreign skills labors, I mean. So we need to have some kind of support locally, and utilizing industry 4.0 technologies, advanced technologies are currently considered as a must for us to continue to sustain our competitiveness at the global level. Bear in mind that Malaysia, for example, I think is similar to other ASEAN countries. We are basically part of the global supply chain, and we support the global OEM, namely Airbus, Boeing, even Western Digitals, Texas Instrument, and so on. So which means that we have to continue our support regardless the scenario that's happening throughout the world. So that is why that we need to combine our effort in order to promote the understanding of the new skilled workforce that we require, not only for Malaysia but also for the region and the world. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Prof. All right, Dr. Aliff, would you mind to share your opinions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hazmil, for the question. Before we go straight to the answer, I think I would like to highlight here. I think nowadays the awareness must begin at the rudimentary level of education, and we must work our way up, promote skill competencies as the demand level is quite critical now. I may say today that many schools are already opened their door to encourage both higher institute and industry itself to facilitate them to STEM and TVET opportunities. Based on my observation here, I think the youth in this age of group are relatively malleable. I believe that they can be shaped easier by what interests them the most. And of course, this must be maintained when they attend their desired tertiary institution later. So back to your question, why do we need to create the awareness? First and foremost, I think in order to realize our full potential to be a high income country and nation in the world, we need a lot of local quality talent to carry out the plans that the government has laid out. Okay, to develop this level of quality, it requires exposing our potential talents widely with diverse demanded skills, such as via a good promotion, effective campaign, and probably via good education, as well as they must be receive a professional guidance to acquire the increasingly demanding skill competencies in today's world and tomorrow. However, from my point of view, we cannot limit the scope of the skills we are talking about right now to only to the physical skills. Other attributes such as transferable skill and soft skills are also relevant. We at University Kuala Lumpur actually always welcome the feedbacks from our industry partner that receive our students for the industrial trainees in their final semester. I can say apart from the excellent skills that the student have, the company also applauded for the soft skills of our student in terms of the interpersonal, teamwork spirit, as well as quick decision making. Okay, they said that this kind of skills equipped in the students definitely can make the national employability rate skyrocket. Okay, for me, there are a lot of advantages that we may experience in starting the awareness earlier. There are such probably first young talents do not have to waste their time on the irrelevant set of skill. When they know what they would like to do, they can focus straight away to the skills that close to their interests. And second one, based on the employment statistic in the first quarter of 2021, there are approximately 79% of job vacancies for the skill and semi-skill categories. So this contribute to approximately 150,000 jobs vacancies available out there for them. From the statistic shows here, we may evaluate which area of skills that still have the potential to be explored. So this is a better way of education for us to increase the national employability rate. Hence, we can fill the gap that is widely open the moment if we know which part we would like to tackle. Last but not least, I think earlier awareness of skill competencies may increase the added value of our young talent, especially when which they do not have to depend only on the academic transcript or academic certificate. They can plan their competency skill earlier to where they would like to go in the future. Like the previous panelist says that if they want to go to automotive, if they want to go to the plant processing, if they want to go to the manufacturing industry, there must be a full support, especially from the family, friends, and the surroundings. Back to you, Mr. Hazmil.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. So currently we are moving to second questions. Okay. So, Mr. Zaidi, what are the initiatives in skills development available at MRL? Could you share with us?
Okay, I think before I explain or elaborate what are the skills development initiative that is available at MRL, let me just try to from the perspective of industry. Yeah? So skill development is the industry when they come to Malaysia and they set up operation in Malaysia, they look at it as an investment. So it's really a profit motive initiative that they've embarked on. For example, if there's a foreign company from Japan or China or even America, they come here to Malaysia and then set up operation and manufacturing operation, or they come here to construct, to become a contractor. Most of them will have this profit motive. So in terms of skills development, they do have skills development, but it is purely for their own company. So if we want to ensure that skill development program in this country will actually benefit the people at large, so I think we need the cooperation between the government and also the industry and also the local community to actually work together to develop a program that can benefit the people more towards the people rather than the companies or the industry that is operating in Malaysia. So at MRL, I think MRL per se, we are a bit of hybrid. Kita ni, I mean, we are a government-owned company, and we have appointed our contractor for the ECR project. And in actual execution, those who are working to complete the project is actually working for our contractor. They don't work for MRL. So MRL has we have the privilege of having the mandate from the government to look into skills development of the rakyat, but at the same time we have to also manage our contractor and ensure that they deliver the project on time and within the schedule. So I think we have these two things to be balanced between pushing for the social agenda versus getting the project completed. Because if you think about it, to get the project completed as soon as possible within cost, definitely dependence on foreign labor is something very attractive. If we just hire everybody, all the foreigners from for our workers from Bangladesh or Indonesia or wherever they come from, I think it will make the project to be executed much faster and much smoother. But however, MRL, due to our nature that we are a government company, we do have to think about skills development and to get the locals, especially in the East Coast, to be involved in the execution and the construction of this project. Therefore, I think in MRL we have this one program. We call it Program Latihan Kemahiran Industri ECRL, PLKI, where I am the director of the program. So in PLKI, I think what we do is first we sit down with our contractor and we ask them what kind of skilled workers that you actually require. Like I mentioned just now, out of that 27,000 workers, can you specify to us what exactly are the skills and the type of workers that you need? And then from the contractor, they will be able to tell us what kind of specific skills and how many and when do they need it. So based on that information, we work backwards and we offer this program, PLKI program. So the idea of this program is we will go around and hire local youth surrounding the project site, especially those from East Coast. We wanted the project to really benefit people in the East Coast. So when we go out and try to recruit people into or trainees into the program, we focus for those youth in the East Coast. And then once we get them inside, what we do is based on the requirement from the contractor just now, we work backwards and then we train them for the specific skills that the contractor require for the period of 1 to 3 months, depending on the skills itself. And then during the execution of the training, everything is provided. But the interesting thing about this is, like I said, the industry when they come to Malaysia, they have maybe I can just say it out loud, which is a very selfish motive, which is they wanted to come here and make profit. So in order for us to execute PLKI, we have to position it as a CSR program, corporate social responsibility program. So we position it to our contractor because the contractor is the one who is paying for the program. They are actually sponsoring the trainees that comes into the program, and then they pay for the training, they pay for the lodging, they pay for the allowances, and then once the training is completed, this batch of trainee will be guaranteed placement into the project and to be working for one of the contractors. So the point here is, I think skills development, yes, you can put it on the industry to execute skills development, but industry, when they do skills development, they are going to do it for their own selfish motives, if I can say that, really to ensure that they are going to continuously improve their workforce rather than looking into the broader or bigger picture of social development and socio-economic development of the country. So I think in MRL, we have the privilege to really expand that scope and ensure that the project have the wider impact socio-economically to the people in the East Coast. So yeah, I think back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaidi. All right, Professor. Is there any initiative in skills development available at NAICO?
Being the industry facilitator for the national aerospace industry, we are being guided by the Malaysian aerospace industry blueprint. And if any of you manage to go through the blueprint, education and training is one of the key areas that will be or being focused by NAICO. We have an ambition to become the #1 in Southeast Asia in supplying competent workforce. So when we talk about competent workforce, as I mentioned earlier, about 85% from this competent workforce are basically coming from the TVET graduates or source. So we are not only looking to becoming #1 Southeast Asia in supplying competent workforce, of which that it will become part of the business strategy for Malaysia, which means that we are not only producing for our own usage, for our own needs, but we are looking into how that we can generate income to the education and training industry in Malaysia. So we have been, our target is to produce about 32,000 employment under the Malaysian aerospace industry by 2030. And we have implemented quite a number of initiatives for the last 5 years. And moving forward, there will be quite a number of focus will be implemented, particularly under the 12th National Plan, such as ecosystem development. We are looking into establishing the National Aerospace Center of Excellence to look into skilled workforce development as well as technology adaptations. And then we are looking into aerospace digital system implementation, digital transformation, as well as Industry 4.0 implementation. In a nutshell, the blueprint highlighted one of the key strategy. Strategy number 6 is to attract and prepare the workforce for tomorrow for Malaysia and the region. So we have come up with quite a number of initiatives. The critical initiative that we have implemented together with the Department of Skills Development is the establishment or acknowledgement of NAICO as the industry-led body for aerospace industry. So anything related to skills development for aerospace industry in Malaysia will be referred to NAICO in this case. So for the last few years, we have managed to develop the first occupational framework for aerospace industry. So we have highlighted the list of occupationals available within the whole aerospace and aviation industry, including pilots, cabin crew, as well as the ground crew. On the other hand, we also provided the list for critical occupational for the aerospace industry. So we identified what sort of requirement for the future that can be implemented by the training institutions as well as the university. So it comes to the next implementation or key initiative, of which that we promote structured in training program. So there are quite a number of new syllabus or new program being implemented or being developed within the universities as well as the training centers. Namely, we developed new NOS for aerospace industry, for aerospace assembly, the MRO for avionics, and then quality assurance. We enhanced the implementation of prior recognition program, or better known as PPT. We also collaborated together with Mohd to ensure that we can, and not to forget Technological Association Malaysia, to promote the continuous professional development for both TC and TS. And at the higher level institutions, we talk about developing new program for aerospace manufacturing, BEng at UTHM, diploma in electric engineering technology for aerospace composite in DRB Highcom University, as well as the BEng Tech, and also we also develop a specific industrial diploma aerospace composite manufacturing at KKTM Masjid Tanah, with the in collaboration with CTRM. Other than that, implementation of composite training programs like KKTM, Mesin Tanah, and EdTech typing, and so on. So there are quite a number of other activities and initiatives that will be implemented in the next 5 years. But of course, we need to realign certain of our initiative due to the fact that the effect of COVID-19 to our ecosystem. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. All right, Doctor. The same question as the rest. Perhaps you can highlight what is the initiative in skills development available at UniKL.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Hazmil. For everyone information, University Kuala Lumpur has 12 campuses from the south of Peninsula to the north. Each campus has their own program. Like we in Malacca, we have chemical engineering, we have medical schools in Perak, we have a business school in Kuala Lumpur, we also have the aviation and marine schools, and many more. So there are many initiatives that are currently running, regardless to which UniKL campus that the student go. But here I would like to highlight the best 2 programs implemented to our student in UniKL. These 2 programs are named Industrialmanship and Teaching Factory. So what is Industrialmanship actually? Industrialmanship is actually a structured internship program that builds industry and academia collaboration and linkages. So the Industrialmanship program actually begins since the first day of registration of student in UniKL. We start with the students' profiling test to evaluate the strength and the weakness of the student. This is to ease us tailor-made what program suits them in the next 4 academic years. For example, if we found from the profiling test that the student's potential is more to the business, we will train them to be a technopreneur, although they are in the chemical engineering school. This is totally reflects to our university mission, which to produce enterprising global technopreneur. We then will organize several programs such as industrial talk, industrial visit, and industrial exposure. So industrial exposure is basically is the heart of the industrialmanship, where the students spend about 4 weeks with our industrial partner. This means that they will dirty their hands first earlier before their industrial training takes place. So during the industrial exposure, they will experience the fundamental of how the organizational function or operate, as well as its culture. Here, they will also learn some basic skills that may not be taught in the lecture hall. Some of them even get the opportunity to go down to the production line. When they finish and come back to the university, we strongly encourage them to do the final year project related to the industry that they are attached earlier. They may apply the skills they gain from the industry on the research project. The second program that we have is called Teaching Factory. Teaching Factory is an industrial setup in-house or at our local facilities line. For example, University Kuala Lumpur, we have Asian Food Validation Center located in Kepong, Kuala Lumpur, that are focusing on the foods and beverages. So what we do was we send our student over there to experience the real production environment of the food and beverages. These are the joint collaboration with between UniKL and our industrial partner. Here, I would like to offer our industrial partner the best gratitude for the opportunity given to our student. As for the moment, if I'm not mistaken, we have around 40 industries that are working together to help us with the teaching factories. I can say that everyone that involved in the teaching factory and industrialmanship is benefited with the state-of-the-art facilities of UniKL. Finally, I can say that the focus of the teaching factory and the industrialmanship is to provide comprehensive engineering works and hands-on experience for the university students under the actual condition to improve their skills directly or indirectly, definitely. So as a result, this explains why our students are well prepared for the market after they graduate. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Hazmil.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Right now we are moving to our third questions. What are the way forwards for skills development to support the industrial needs that the youth need to know within today's economic landscape? All right, Mr. Mohd Zaidi.
Okay. So I think from my perspective, today's economic landscape, like Professor Shamsul has also mentioned, we have to look into the post-pandemic era that is coming. I think it's already here today and coming into the future. We need to look at on how or anticipate how industries in Malaysia would react. For construction industry, I can say, especially when you have a foreign contractor, their original plan would usually involve importing a lot of the expertise, laborers, and also equipment, things like this abroad from their home country, and to actually bring it to Malaysia. However, I think post-pandemic, since I think everybody can see that to manage the pandemic, a lot of restriction has been put by not only the Malaysian government but any government throughout the world. So one way that the industry is trying to work around this is to focus more on localization. So I think this is a good development in the construction industry. I can say our contractor is also seriously looking into this, to look more towards localizing their operations in terms of sourcing of equipment, sourcing of laborers and expertise from Malaysia rather than from external sources. So again, coming back to the first point that I was trying to make, there's a lot of opportunity, and I think the demand for TVET workers in Malaysia will just increase and increase in the future. It's actually increasing by the day. So, but in order for us to actually entice more local youth to be interested in TVET, from my own experience, when we execute the program that I mentioned just now, PLKI, when we try to recruit trainees into the program, it is not an easy feat once they know that what exactly they are going to do. For example, like I just mentioned, also it depends on the workforce requirement of our contractor. And for example, our contractor requires a lot of workers on the ground, on the site, which has to work under the sun. It's so hot, and the work is not easy. It's difficult. It's dirty and dangerous, and their work colleagues, you may say, people around them are foreigners. So it's not a glamorous thing to do, and because of that, not many people are willing to do it. That is the challenge to be overcome. But I think the oil and gas industry, maybe we can look into the oil and gas industry on how they manage to overcome this problem, on how they manage to be able to hire almost a very high percentage of locals. If you go to Petronas and you go to the oil platforms and oil rigs, you can see even the technicians and people on the drilling floor. On the drilling floor, everybody is Malaysian. So, but like I mentioned also, it is due to the incentive, to the salary that they are getting. It's at a totally different level from plantation and construction. So I think on the industry side, we cannot do much because industry, they are always looking to minimize cost. However, the government has a big role here to play. I think the government can start by, for example, for any government projects in the future, perhaps the government can spend a bit more by mandating the contractor that is appointed by the government to execute those government projects to actually pay a little bit higher from the market rate, just to make sure that we are able to incentivize local youth to actually participate in the TVET on skilled workers requirement in the construction and maybe in the plantation industry. So I think that is the way forward that I can see, apart from increasing the salary, and maybe just to share also another thing that I observed from the execution of my program is when we open registration to the program, we actually receive a lot of interest. For one, I can share, in one of our roadshow, we actually received more than 1,000 applications into the program. However, when we look closely at the 1,000 plus application into the program, we found out that almost 80% of them are actually jobless degree and diploma holder. So something that is real on the ground. Those who are looking for jobs, those who are unemployed, they are actually degree holders and diploma holders. And SKM or Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia, or those who are with vocational qualifications, not many of them are actually jobless, because most of them are immediately employed right after graduating from their college or from the polytechnic or whatever. So this is also something that I think it needs thinking, it needs re-strategizing at all levels in Malaysia, to ensure that our youth must be aware of the opportunity, of the demand, and at the same time to be incentivized to actually for them to be willing to be involved in TVET. And I think that would eventually ensure that Malaysia economy is driven largely by its own people rather than depending on foreign labor, especially on the TVET area. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zaidi. All right, Professor.
Right. Of course, we need to further develop, further build up our economy, and it is quite important for us to strengthen our skilled workforce. The requirement, as I mentioned earlier, is not the same as what we have is required for the last 5 years. So the challenge is that we need to bring together the whole stakeholders to get together and see how that the best strategy that can be implemented across the board. So in the case of high technology skills or industries, I must say that in order for us to further develop the skill workforce ecosystem, we need to look at other areas as well, which is directly or indirectly supporting the requirement for skilled workforce. The first areas or first factor that we need to consider is that we will be continuing to promote Malaysia as the partners for quality investors, in throughout the world. So we are targeting quality investment to come to Malaysia, for us to build up our economy, and for us to become part of the global supply chain. We don't want to become the local champion, original champion alone, but we need to become or integrate ourselves to become global suppliers, as well as part of the integral global supply chain. So this is something which is very, very critical for us to consider. And again, the skilled workforce is not meant only for the global players who wants to invest in Malaysia, or the MNCs, or even our big boys, but we have to also support our local players, particularly the small medium enterprises. So this is very, very critical, as mentioned by Mr. Zaidi. There are opportunities for us to localize more and more work packages in the country. So which means that the role of small medium enterprises are very, very critical. Hence, the support from our skilled workforce, the next generation skilled workforce, are very, very crucial. So in terms of human capital development, the way we do things, the way our approach to bring our youth into this business should also be realigned due to the fact that the current scenario of teaching and learning totally different compared to when we are not in the issue of pandemic, COVID-19. So we need to have a very structured talent program, not limited to the program at the institutes or the universities, but also for them to carry it out during the internship. Yeah. For the last 2 years, you can see that internship is quite challenging. Quite a number of students that are not able to conclude of their trainings at the universities as well as the training institute due to the fact that they cannot complete their industrial training. Other than that, as I mentioned about the requirement for Industry 4.0 implementation, advanced technologies, what they call it, this digital technology, we need to have competent trainer. So training the trainers are also quite important. And of course, to elevate the quality or the status of skilled workforce in the country, we need to provide them with the proper certification as well as proper recognition. So professional development is quite critical. Other than that, we also need to streamline with the research and technology activity on how they want to adapt advanced and digital technology, and also to look into how that we can explore new market, not limited to our industry, but also for our education and training business. So it's a big agenda, not only for the government, but also for the industry players who involve in the utilization of skilled workforce, as well as the community who produce the skilled workforce. So that's my conclusion for the way forward of competent workforce. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. All right, any additional information, Dr. Aliff?
Okay, I'm going to answer this question from my perspective as an academician. Okay, nowadays people talk about IR 4.0, society 5.0, artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, programming, and etc. etc. As our minister said this morning, we need to respond to this technology fast. Okay, these are the skills, I believe, without any doubt, that are demanding right now and probably relevant in the next 10 years. Okay, we are at University Kuala Lumpur are also working hard on this. We try build bridges to connect those pillars in Industrial Revolution 5.0 with our own program. Okay, I think most of the programs available in higher education institute are doing similar things. I give you an example on how this pillar is our life pretty much. In a subject that I teach back in UniKL called Plant Design Project. Previously, all the calculations were attempted using Excel or spreadsheet. Okay. Nowadays, we embedded modern tools of the simulation element in this subject. So we know that the simulation is one of the pillars in IR 4.0. So this simulation helps a lot in terms of the mass and energy balance calculations. So you just can imagine like with the help of the simulation, the calculation can be made simultaneously and produce result in split second of 3 days work. So it helps a lot. Now, let's focus on how to determine the demanded skills. Okay, I strongly believe that many research institutes can fine-tune of what we call demanded skills. What I mean by the fine-tune is with the current data science technology that we have, probably we can predict of what skills are relevant for the youth to venture in the next 5 or 10 years. Okay, we also can predict if the field are no longer relevant or the area are too dense to be explored more. And I would like to say that the information we receive from the fine-tune program, the information needs to be delivered to the youth effectively, so that the nation can prepare to fulfill the demand when the times come. Hence, with the good prediction, I believe we do not have to import more external talents to realize our national blueprints. And I can say that this saves a lot of cost. And next, I believe most of the higher education institutes are now offering more competencies training instead just on the academic transcript or academic certificate. I would like to take this opportunity to advise to all students, you need to grab the opportunity to learn extra set of skills during your university time. Competencies training might not be in the syllabus, so this is out from your lecture hall. Okay, and also what important here, try to get a good mentor or guidance in this area. Nowadays, we have, like Prof said just now, we have a Malaysian Board of Technology, we have a Board of Engineering Malaysia, we have Institute of Engineering Malaysia to support the students. Okay. Last but not least, for this session, I strongly agree with the question asked by the moderator earlier. These are actually about the campaign awareness. Okay, a campaign awareness guidance need to be the eye opener for the youth to explore more on the competency skill. I think that's my opinion on this. Thank you.
All right, Doctor. Before we go for questions from the audience, allow me to read a few comments from our participants today. All right. First, Dr. Aliff, I agree with you. Attitude attributes of the TVET students needs to be on par as per Society 5.0 to support IR 4.0. Okay. Comments number 2. Encik Mohd Zaidi, good to hear that MRL is playing its role to balance the investors' needs. I think that is how we supposed to react for the sake of our rakyat. Please involve more our TVET Institute students and professionals from universities rather than taking in foreign workers. Alright, here we have one questions, and actually I believe this one is for Professor. Alright, Prof, I believe Malaysia is moving towards Industrial Revolution 4.0 and COVID-19 has pushed it rapidly now. In terms of human resource, are we ready for Society 5.0? How do you see this, Prof?
All right. So I would prefer to take off my my official hats so that I can speak a bit free, yeah, based on my professionalism. Right. Whether we like it or not, in Malaysia, when we promote Industry 4.0, basically we are still at 2.5 or 3, yeah, even not 3, because there are many factors, particularly the complexity of work packages or activities that we carry out in the country for the past 20 years did not require us to have advanced technology or digital technology promoted under Industry 4.0. So that's why the move of the country industrialization activities towards Industry 4.0 a bit, not to say slow, but a bit structured in that manner. So to answer the questions, whether we are ready for what I call it, this Society 5.0 is a bit hard to answer at this point of time, due to the fact that the infrastructures or the ecosystem are not yet ready. Same goes to, if you want to compare it with another 4 and 5 what I call it, this acronym like 4G and 5G telecommunications infrastructures in the country, then it can replicate, yeah, the scenario of Society 5.0 compared to Industry 4.0 implementation in Malaysia. But somehow or other, the pandemic COVID-19 has shown to us that we need to move quickly to digital transformation. As such, Industry 4.0 advanced technological development in Malaysia should happen. And that's one of the reasons why more and more initiative from the government, particularly from MITI, that we look into, supporting research and development, industrial research and development, high technology activities, reskilling, upscaling initiative, as well as advanced training program. So this is why it's quite important for us to develop the ecosystem, and not only the government should play the role, because the business owner or the industry, they are the one who actually directly impacted with the technological development. So it has to be a triple helix approach, yeah, which means that the government, the industry, as well as the academia, and possibly we need to bring the fourth quarter, which is the people, or the youth, to also support this initiative. So in short, we can be Society 5.0, provided that we continue to build up our infrastructures, as well as to ensure that all stakeholders, all entities are working together in this journey. So we cannot just say that only the government is responsible towards the development of technology as well as industry in the country, but it has to also include the other remaining stakeholders. So altogether, we believe, I believe, that we can achieve the Society 5.0 within the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, with the explanations. So I would like to conclude in our webinar today. In ensuring the success of youth skills development not only depends on the intellectual improvement, but also on the practicality of the knowledge expansions in the specific traits and disciplines. This shows that the ability of the youth would be diverse by their efforts of seeking knowledge and skills with the right attitude that will help them grow to be better person and contribute to the growth of the nation. Thank you with the sharing and opinions. I hope each and every one of you have learned something new from the experience and knowledge shared from our panelists today. Even though this is a short webinar, I hope that you all find value in today's sharing. I hope we will get another opportunity to discuss more in the future. Stay safe and thank you all. Hazmil bin Hapaz, signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.